Yep, we're at the movies. Today we're in the garage working on the 63, and I'm installing the spark plug wires on the engine, and we're also routing them the correct way in the front through the engine mounts. So in the factory, when these cars were built, they routed the first two cylinders on each side through the engine mount between the two bolts that straddles it, and then to the back of the middle bolt, down around here and up to the top, and then it goes through a heat shield, which you'll see later on, and there's a wire clip down below. So I'll show you where all that stuff goes and the routing and the easiest way to do that. So stay tuned, and if you haven't already, please subscribe, because got a lot of work to do on this thing. So we have our spark plug wires put on our distributor cap, and we labeled the cap going by the firing order in our little diagram here. So we labeled it on the cap, and then we labeled each wire at both ends, and it gives you the wire number based on the length. So we just laid it out like that. And before we put it on the car, I wanted to show you that. And then we also have these little connectors, or these little holders for the wires. I don't know if you can see that very well. Get in better light. So they're labeled. The top one has R for right side, then it has the order that the wires go into it. So that makes it easy to keep everything nice and neat. Then left, 7315. R is 4268. So next we'll get everything draped in the car, route everything, and then later we can put the coil wire on. We put some dielectric grease that came with the wires on the cap. So now I'm working on buttoning up the rest of the spark plug wires. I was doing the first two. You have to fish them through the motor mount. So it was a good step to put all these on, just to get everything lined up and drape everything over. And then after that, you have to remove these one by one and feed the front down through. So number 2 and 4, 1 and 3 will need to be switched. So I already did this side, and now I'm installing these heat shields, and then I installed this little wire clip. So I'll go on the bottom side and show you, because it helps to have the car jacked up to do this. But it's good to get these started first, that way you have most of your routing, and then you can slide these rubber boots out of, or the little wire holders out of their brackets, and one by one fish them. So let's check it out from the bottom. Alright, so I'm going to try to do the best job I can to show you what I'm talking about, but the spark plug wires come through the middle of the motor mount. So at the top of the motor mount, on that side and that side, there are 2 bolts, and then there's 1 bolt at the back. So it straddles those 2 bolts, and it comes out towards the back of the car there. And then you install this wire clip by that Allen head bolt there, and the wires just follow their path. Okay, so I use just that top heat shield bolt up there. You see the bracket, and then down here it uses the motor mount bolt, and I have to push the wires inside of this. But right now you can see that at the very valley of that bracket goes off again. Anyways, at the valley of that bracket, that's where that little thing goes, the little wire holder goes. Everything tucks behind it, and it keeps everything safe from the exhaust. So even if you're not going to run ignition shielding on your car, you should definitely run these so you don't melt your wires. Or it just keeps everything looking a lot neater and tidier. So that's what that side looks like. And right now, this side just has wires hanging, so it's kind of messy. Messy over here, and it looks a lot neater, a lot tighter over here. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. Hold up this wire to make sure. I think it's the one with that Allen head, but I'll just double check, put that clip on, and then I'll fish out one of these wires at a time, drop it through the motor mount, and do the same thing. I'm checking that wire clip actually wanted to be right next to that little divot there in the oil pan for the dipstick tube. So the clip wasn't completely happy going around that little radius there. It just needed tightened down, and then it was convinced to go there. But the valley on that, which I'll show you later, on that shield ended up falling right there. So that's where it went, which is different than the other side. Alright, so here's the finished look here with the heat shields installed on both sides. Everything's nice and tidy underneath. So that, you can see that location is a good spot, and everything's routed the way it should be. Might have to do a little bit of touch up on those back wires just to clock those a little differently, but everything it's looking really good. Everything's tight under here, so let's go top side. Alright, so back on top, just wanted to point out a little wire holder down here that these two wires are installed in, that comes, that you attach with this heat shield here. So it goes through there, and then it goes through the engine mount on both sides. But everything's tidied up here, and then it's ready for ignition shielding and everything else. So the ignition system is buttoned up on the car. I just need to put the main harness in just to hook up power to everything, and I started on the cooling system. So once I get my lower radiator hose, I can put that in, the fan shroud, and then the engine's pretty much buttoned up in the heater hoses, and so we're really moving. Then all I need is a starter and my gauge cluster restored, which I started doing that. That's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed, please give it a thumbs up. I have a lot more videos coming with this car, and I have some big announcements coming with this car too, so hopefully we'll get it running soon. I'll catch you guys later. I got a lot of work to do, so I'll see you later.